We study mother-baby nonverbal communication. I like to call it the baby's nonverbal language, but really it's the mother-baby nonverbal language or the parent-baby nonverbal language, because a baby only has a language if he has a partner.
Dr. Beebe, welcome to AEI.
Thank
I'm
you.
delighted that you're here.
Me too. I'm really delighted to be here.
So you are a professor of medical psychology at Columbia University.
Yes.
And an expert on infant development. And for 2 decades, you've been directing a research laboratory on early mother-infant communication.
Yes.
What specifically does your research focus on?
We study mother-baby nonverbal communication. I like to call it the baby's nonverbal language, but really it's the mother-baby nonverbal language or the parent-baby nonverbal language, because a baby only has a language if he has a partner.
And what kinds of, when you say nonverbal language of a baby, can you say more about what that looks like? What does that mean?
Well, it's very nuanced, and you're looking at all the little details of things the babies do. Sometimes they do something so tiny that you don't quite catch it in real time. Sometimes they make a large movement that you do catch it. But you're looking at little movements of the mouth open. Babies do that a lot. And you're looking at tiny little shifts of gaze, You could be looking at head orientation, like a little tiny, and you can sense that, right? It's a little tiny thing. Or if the baby turns away like this, can you sense that this is different from this, right? The more oblique one.
Right.
So, or they can go all the way over here, or they could even arch up over here. And some of it's tiny, some of it's big, but you're looking at films to see exactly how the baby's responding or initiating moment by moment with the partner.
And you use a unique research method called video microanalysis.
Yeah.
To uncover a kind of a level of detail, which apparently is hard to see
In real time. Yeah.
Can you explain exactly how that works, and why is it that you use that method to study this?
Yeah. So we call it a social microscope, video microanalysis. And it's precisely because these events are so fast. You know, they're called split-second events. Some of these behaviors last about 1/3 of a second. So video microanalysis, it's even slowed down film wouldn't really get you the level of detail that we need. So video microanalysis is a way of getting to every little tiny movement and gesture that the baby makes in order to understand more about how the mother and the baby are responding to each other.
So it's a kind of, as I understand it, it's kind of a frame-by-frame analysis with potentially dozens of frames per second. Is that correct?
Usually you have 30 frames a second. And in my lab, we were actually analyzing the second. But so much can happen in a second that you are really analyzing a half second by a half second. So it's called frame-by-frame analysis, but that's really a misnomer. When you're doing the research, it's coding every second. As the second unfolds, does the mouth go across the second, right? Or across the second. So you're getting at, second by second, what's happening in the gaze, what's happening in the touch, what's happening in the face, what's happening in the hands.
With mothers, between mothers and babies, the babies that you've been studying are 4-month-old babies.
That's right.
Is that correct? And
That's
why 4-month-old babies?
Yeah, everyone asks us that. So 3 to 4 months is really the flowering of the baby's social capacity. Babies are social from birth, but they don't have the full display of the expressions. So by 3 to 4 months, that is really flowering, and you suddenly have a different baby from 3 to 4 months, a profoundly social, communicative, emotional baby, even though you've seen all of this from the beginning, but it really flowers by 3 to 4 months. And 3 to 4 months is a moment where babies have enough capacity to regulate their states that they can actually engage in face-to-face communication for, let's say, 5 minutes. We tried to do it at 2 months. We couldn't really do it because the babies fell asleep on us. And we woke them up and kind of got them involved, and then they usually get over-aroused. And then you get them right nice down to where you could really engage with them face-to-face, and then they go to sleep.
So that's 2-month-old babies.
Yeah.
So at 60 days, they weren't ready for this research, but by 130 days.
Yeah, 3 to 4 months.
Right. They're right.
And also, face-to-face communication is really, really important because it elicits the baby's most advanced social capacities at that age. So it's 4-month face-to-face communication that we do.
And when you're, so exactly how does this occur? Where do you get this footage from? How do you operationalize this?
Right. We invite a mother and a baby to the lab. We actually invite the fathers too, but they often don't come. So it's most of the research is mother-infant. Although all the things that are documented about mothers and infants are similar for fathers and infants, or nannies and infants, or caregivers and infants. It's all the same communication system, right? So you invite the mother and the baby to the lab. You put one camera in the baby's face, one camera in the mother's face, so it makes a split screen like a sportscast. So you can watch each one as each one is communicating with the other, where lots of things are almost simultaneous.
So then you watch those side by side. Is that right?
When you see it, it looks side by side, but you have to remember that it's actually face to face. And we ask the mother to just interact with the baby as she would at home, or play with the baby as she would at home, but no toys. That's the only difference, no toys. Yeah.
So then you film, there's these 2 cameras, so you're filming the baby's face and the mother's face.
And no one else is in the room.
No one else is in the room as they're interacting for 20
About
minutes.
5 minutes.
5 minutes.
Yeah.
Why so short?
Well, we only really analyze 2.5 minutes.
Why 2.5 minutes? Why? How can that be?
Because it takes a long time to do this microanalysis, and sort of the research guidelines are 2 to 3 minutes. We can predict in development with 2.5 minutes. So we do 2.5 minutes.
So what you're saying is that in 2.5 minutes of this kind of video between a mother and a 4-month-old infant, you can learn enough about that relationship, the nature of the interaction, to be making predictions months and months into the future.
Isn't that astonishing?
Yes.
Yeah,
so how?
it is.
Say more about.
Well, you know, these behavior patterns are very repetitive. How people behave is very repetitive. And actually, one of the most interesting things about the way we think about the research is the baby is developing expectancies. He's learning what to expect because it happens over and over and over. Things happen in similar ways. So in 2.5 minutes, you're going to get a lot of examples of how this pair interacts.
Like what? Can you give me an example of what the baby's expecting? Like what is it? If I'm watching that, how does that happen? What is actually, what would I see?
Well, if I'm a little whimpery or distressed, I learn to expect that you are sympathetic. You go, right? Or if I'm really flowering up into a beautiful smile, I learn to expect that you smile right back. Or I learn that when I turn, I'll be the baby now, when I turn away, you chase me. And the more I go away, the more you chase me. And the more I go away, the more you chase me. The more you chase me, the more I go away. And I learned that that's how it is between us.
I see. And so are there particular patterns that you have associated with more positive development for babies?
The most important thing seems to be that the social partner joins the baby where the baby is. So if I'm the baby and I'm really happy and you're responding, that's easy. I mean, most people are able to do that. The harder ones are when the baby is whimpery or frowny or distressed, to also join where the baby's, oh, Oh, that's how you feel. Oh, right? Or sometimes babies really go down. They're very still and wary, and so you could join the baby there, like waiting for the baby. Not completely motionless, but just sensing the baby's dampened state and joining the baby where the baby is dampened and waiting for the baby to find another place that the baby goes to.
And is this something that is common, or is this only some babies that do this?
Some babies and some mothers?
Yeah. I mean, in other words, do all babies have these periods of being dampened that way? Is this just sort of normal baby behavior?
I think an extreme dampened baby is more toward a depressed baby. But all babies whimper. All babies have little sad moments. All babies have little distressed moments. Most babies have glorious, smile moments. The really dampened babies are toward the depressed babies.
So you've been doing this research now for several decades.
Several, no.
And a lot of decades. And you have followed these dyads, these infant mother dyads, up to a year of age, and then
now 30 years.
Years and years later. And what have you found from that?
So we do have two groups of mothers and babies that we're following. One group was videotaped starting in 1985, and one starting in 1992. And the 1985 babies, I think we had 82 babies, and we found 45 at ages 25 to 30. So it's not a lot, but it's half the group. So we are finding that we can predict aspects of the adult development from how the mother and the baby, or the stranger in the baby, the stranger is like a novel partner with the baby, how they coordinated. In this case, we were looking at how they coordinated vocal turn taking. Vocal turn taking is really interesting. Like if I make a sound, da-da-da-da-da-da, that's your turn. Say something.
I just make a little sound back.
Now, am I gonna wait for you? Am I gonna jump in on you?
So if I'm the baby, I'm a 4-month-old baby, and I'm taking turns with you like that.
That was your turn. And there was a tiny pause, and then I came in. That's my turn. But sometimes there's no space at all, no pause at all between my sounds and your sounds, my turn and your turn. Sometimes there's a long pause. And the idea is, how do the pair follow each other's durations of sounds and silences, turns and pauses between turns? And we found that mid-range following predicted secure babies, and too tight following, or not following well enough, predicted insecure babies.
And by mid-range,
I'm following you, but I'm not slavishly following you, like what is it, really intensely following you.
It's a more relaxed kind of interaction.
And that seems to be optimal. And we're finding it again at 30-year follow-up.
So that the babies who were in the 4-month-old babies who were in a relationship with their primary caretaker, their mother, who had formed these kinds of sort of turn-taking, right, relaxed kind of turn-taking rhythms, that something about communicating in that way was a foundation for things that went on for years.
Yeah, we can tap it 30 years later, which is kind of astonishing.
Yes.
Yeah.
So you're a pioneer in this field. You've been working on this, as you just said, for
5 decades.
For 5 decades. And over that time, what are the core findings about babies?
Well, the most overall thing is these babies are incredibly sociable and emotionally capable, and they understand everything that's happening at a nonverbal level, right? They don't have language the way we do. They don't have the level of cognition that we do, but they're very smart. They have a kind of an intelligence that tracks the sequence of things. This predicts that. And so they're always anticipating what's going to happen next. So they have an extraordinary social capacity where they're learning what to expect from their social partner. That's the broadest, most important thing that comes out of here. These babies are amazingly communicative and sociable. Yeah. Then there's several other really interesting things, like the baby's nonverbal language is co-created, right? It isn't the baby's language, it's the mother-baby language, right? It's co-created. And the mother influences the baby, but the baby influences the mother, right? The mother adjusts to what the baby just did, and the baby adjusts to what the mother just did.
And this might not be conscious on the part of the mother. Is that correct?
I think all the things we study are a little bit too fast to be conscious, to be really, I think it's out of awareness. It's a system that's out of awareness. You could bring it into awareness by focusing on it and showing somebody, but it's kind of an out of awareness system. Yeah.
And I think another thing that you've focused on is that these are really sort of finely tuned, sensitive systems that highly sensitive to distress.
That's right.
Is that correct?
Yeah.
Can you say more about that?
Yeah. So if the mother is distressed, or if the baby is distressed, it changes the nature of the interaction, the patterns of the interaction. So, for example, maternal depression or maternal anxiety, but poverty, everyday current stress. So anything that really stresses the mother-baby system will disturb it. So this early communication system is very sensitive to distress, and it will bias the system away from a kind of a more optimal range.
And you've done research specifically, for example, with depressed mothers.
Yeah.
What are the findings in that work?
Yeah. Well, one interesting example, right, because there's many, many findings, but one interesting example is, so these are mothers who are depressed at 6 weeks postpartum. So how does that postpartum depression alter communication once the baby is at 4 months? And the ones who were depressed at 6 weeks, those mothers aren't really following the baby's visual focus. As the baby looks and looks away and looks away, they're not really tracking that as well. But they're over-tracking the baby's face, overly responsive to the baby's face. And when the baby is positive, they're overly thrilled. They're far more responsive than the non-depressed mother. And when the baby becomes sad, the mother is far more disappointed than the ordinary mother. So she's overly reactive to the baby's normal ups and downs, positive and negative, almost as if she's using the baby's face to see if she's loved by the baby, because a depressed mother often is very unsure of that. So that'd just be an example of the detail that our approach could give you, and it has important implications for treatment. Because every time you have a very specific interaction pattern revealed by the research, you can treat it more easily.
So when the mother is behaving that way, if she's depressed, she's having that kind of overreaction, what is the impact on the baby?
Well, the babies are different too. These babies can be a little bit emotionally withdrawn from those mothers.
Because it's sort of too intense somehow.
Yeah.
Hey everyone, thanks for watching part 1 of our discussion with Dr. Beatrice Beebe. If you enjoyed what you saw, remember to like the video or leave us a comment. And if you want to see more, check out part 2.